gosh, they can't tweet, they can't do this, they can't. But you know what? 20 years ago, 30 years ago, we had this. That's all we had. And you weren't necessarily live reporting or live tweeting or anything from a courtroom, and you'd walk out of there with your notepad and you'd report on it. So, in a lot of ways, it's like we can manage. Certainly, technology has made it a lot easier for us and a lot more, I would say, accurate in terms of reporting because it's not just what can I get on this piece of paper as quickly as I can and still keep up with what's going on. Live tweeting certainly provides a more accurate record than just that. But I think it can still be done. I still think this case can be reported on fairly accurately. It's still another veil of secrecy that the public isn't going to get to hear in real time. But I think there's not going to be a lot of business for funny games to be played because there are going to be a lot of reporters in that courtroom looking for anything that is out of line. Don't you agree?
I agree. I think the biggest problem is when anybody comes out of a courtroom that's a reporter, they have their own skew, their
Hmm.
own slant, exactly how they interpreted the words that were spoken. I always use the analogy I'm homesick or I'm homesick. Are
Hmm.
you home not feeling well or do you miss home? And these reporters are going to be able to certainly put their own skew on how they perceive a witness comes off, how they perceive goal comes off, and I think I mentioned that it's possible. I haven't seen the ruling for sure yet, but that she might not even allow public viewing of the exhibits. And if that is also gleaned from the record until after this trial is over, I just think it does such a disservice.
Well, it does. But at the same point, we have to remember here, he pretty much has a get a new trial free card in his back pocket, no matter what happens here. Uh, but if he were to do that, let's say he is convicted here, would it have to be Judge Gull again that would try this, or would it be someone else? Or does Judge Gull have the option if they were to get a new trial here?
Well, a couple of thoughts here. First of all, we don't know who the appellate attorneys will be on this. We're
Hmm.
going to have an appellate lodged, but depending on the caliber, I mean, you just never know whether an appeal would be granted, Tony, even in light of everything
True.
we've seen. We just don't know. So, in a sense, I unfortunately don't have the faith you have in the appeal until I see who the appellate attorney is. Um, Number two, if it were appealed and went back, it would go to back to goal. I mean,
Hmm.
potentially. Um, but right now, the defense has their hands totally, hamstrung.
Yeah.
As far as I know, there's no defense out there. There's no alibi defense. There's no third party culprit. So I don't know what they're going to come up with. And now the witnesses. I mean, it's not the prosecution's fault. I will say that Click apparently
Hmm.
lied on other documents. The other thing is, until he's convicted, it can't be used in court.
Hmm.
Typically, allegations don't count,
Yeah.
only convictions. So from that standpoint, even though in the public opinion, that's bad news, it shouldn't be allowed in court. I can't imagine Judge Gold would allow it because it's not a conviction.
Can they deny him from testifying, Todd Click?
No.
Okay.
No, well, the judge can do anything she wants
Hmm.
if there's some law she feels. I think the bigger issue is what is he really going to be able to say?
Hmm.
If he's not allowed to talk about Odinism in any way, shape, or form, they're not going to be able to talk about Odinism, but will they do it in sort of a veiled way? In
Yeah.
other words, was there anything you saw from a religious, right? Not mentioning Odinism
Yeah.
that you found to be interesting or something.
How were were the sticks, or was there anything unusual about the way you found the bodies? There's a lot of ways that facts in this case can be introduced, and then people can deduce their decisions based on what ends up being presented. It's just what is she going to allow? Because she seems to have carte blanche in terms of control over all of this, and it doesn't really seem to match up with how the United States judicial system typically works. It seems like this is pretty much whatever she wants, she's going to do. whether or not it really is truly fair. And that's at the end of the day. Who knows if Richard Allen did this? We just need to present this case. We need to see this case in its entirety to make that judgment. The jury needs to see that to make that judgment and not have a skewed version of it being presented just because one person wants to present the case in a very one sided manner.
I agree, Tony. And what I always juxtapose with is the Bryan Kohberger Idaho 4 case, because there you have a defendant that has gotten the luxury of expert witness after expert witness. Millions and millions and millions of dollars are going to be spent on his defense. He was always in a county facility. He had hair gel and beautiful suits to wear. He wasn't, chained up
Mhm.
and drug into a courtroom. It's the absolute opposite
Yeah.
of Richard Allen. And in reality, it needs to be skewed more to how Bryan Kohberger is being treated and the defense he is being allotted, at least to some degree. That is over the top, in my opinion, when you have three experts the government is paying for his, just to prove one point as an example. They'll have three experts basically say the same thing that we're paying for. And Richard Allen didn't get defense expert
Yeah.
witnesses. It's just amazing if you juxtapose those two
Yeah.
cases and treatment. And Richard Allen has been treated, I think, how every U.S. citizen should fear being treated
Yeah.
as a presumed innocent person.
And if this is accepted and this is just allowed to go on the way it has, we're going to see more people treated this way. If nobody comes in and stops this from happening, if it's shown that, hey, look, they got away with treating him like shit, despite everybody raising their hands going, what are you doing? They got away with it. They have the power. They're going to get away with it again in other cases. It's shocking that in one part of our country, a accused can be treated one way and another completely the opposite. Obviously, nothing is going to be fair in life, but the judicial system is all about this. It's about trying to be fair and just. And it's not a fair and just system if one person charged with the crime is treated uh, lovely and gets all the resources that they need to defend themselves, and the other not at all. But we're talking about the same judicial system. That is a broken system.
Agreed, Tony.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.